Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Talkin Balls. I am your host, Neil Adams, and joined as always with my lovely bearded co-hosts, Rob and Mark. How are you, gents?
Grand, what's happening, guys?
Very well, mate. You know, another week of football, another week of heartbreak, so we're good to go.
Yes. No, tell me about it. And joined this week is your man from the other podcast, Colum Cronin from the Irish NFL show. How are you, sir?
Not too shabby at all, lads. Delighted to be joining you to chat a little football.
Yes, love it. Well, Colin, we just want to know, how the hell did you get into this? This whole podcast, NFL, supporting the Broncos.
I'd say, given the looking around at the three faces, I'm probably watching the sport for longer than you guys have been on the planet. You're all very young. I started.
I'd say I'm older than you, sir.
I started watching the sport in 1989, when they were showing it on RT2 and Miles Dungan was doing the commentary. And the highlights at that point were, right, it was on a Monday night, but it was from the week previous. So you were watching 8-day-old highlights. And there was a team, yeah, that's a good face, Neil, because that's, imagine trying to explain that to somebody in the internet age. There was a team that played in these beautiful neon orange jerseys and royal blue, and they had a number 7 who was doing Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen things before those players existed, and that was John Elway. And I just fell in love with the sport, and I was the weird kid down in Fermoy, County Cork, who was into the NFL and was watching it, but had no one to talk to about it. So that's probably why I love talking about it now, because there are loads of people to talk to who are into it. But I've been watching it kind of ever since, and it's been an interesting journey, right? Because they showed it on RTE until kind of the mid 90s, right, more or less, and then it drops off completely, and you've got to try to follow it via newspapers until such time as I get to college and I actually get internet, and I can try to keep up with it there. But it would be years before, you know, I would be able to come back with it, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, on our screens. Yeah, and late nights are coming in from college to watch it. And now, obviously, like, everything happens all the time, red zone. So yeah, it's been quite the journey with it. But that's essentially how I got into it. My first live American football experience was 1991, Fordham versus Holy Cross in the Wild Geese Classic in Limerick. Now, they bring the teams over now for college football, and there's a whole lot of hoopla, and it's beautiful. It's August. It's still nice weather. Back then, they brought teams over in mid-November down into the West Coast, and it was, yeah. I think that was probably the coldest I've ever been, and fair play to my mom for getting me tickets. I think that, and I went to a League Cup final between Cork City and Drogheda in the old Lansdowne Road years ago, and that was probably the second coldest I've been. So yeah, I go back a long way, I suppose, with the sport.
Was that Drogheda Lightning, was it? Is that what their name was? Am I making that up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the iterations of the different teams who've been around. I think Cork City Soccer is about probably the football team in Cork, the American football team, have probably a longer history technically than some of the soccer teams, because the soccer teams in Cork have gone through so many different names and iterations over the years.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the Irish NFL show? How did that come about?
So I suppose always interested in talking about the sport and talking in general, working in higher ed. So I've always kind of done videos, podcasts and stuff like that. So I worked with international students a lot, and I would do videos as a way of kind of helping them learn about Ireland before they came over. So whether that was in Ireland or whether that was like we say the library on campus, right? Because we respond to faces, we respond to people, we respond to stories. And so from there, I started doing a higher ed podcast. That led into doing a podcast about the Broncos. Were terrible. We weren't just bad, we were boring. And I've been interested in the wider side of things. So ultimately, the Irish NFL show comes about 3 years ago. Yeah, it's October of 2020 was when it kicked off back in the midst of the first year of COVID. And just the opportunity. Just for me, it's about talking about the game and kind of any aspect of the game. Because again, I've kind of everything from going along to watch college to I was the external on the AFI board for a year back in, was that 2015? So I've kind of always been involved in and around the sport. But yeah, podcasting on the Broncos for the best part of a decade, I would say, Neil, or thereabouts.
All right, I didn't know you were on the AFI board either.
Yeah,
new.
Yeah, there you go.
Most people probably wouldn't know that either.
No, I can't say.
Yeah.
Because that was probably just before we formed the Jets then, because we probably wouldn't have knew about you, because whenever we formed the Jets 7 years ago, so it was probably 2016.
Yeah, probably just at the end of the year I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, days. So you're a big Denver Broncos fan.
I am.
How do you feel they're doing at the minute? What is your thought process on the whole season at the minute?
The Broncos are they're interesting in many ways, right? And I think people don't always realize the role that like the media plays. And the Broncos have some of the most friendly team media, I would say, in existence. And I think they have had incredible hype over the last few years. Like, think back to before Russell Wilson was drafted, and the talk was always, the Broncos are QB away, and the weapons they have. And like, who would you take now? Like, Jerry Jeudy is yet to break out. Courtland Sutton looks a shell of the player that he was in 2019. Javonte hasn't come back. I mean, amazing that he came back so quickly from the injury, but he doesn't look the same. Yeah. So, look, I think this is a team that is a bit probably like the Vikings in many respects. I think probably in purgatory. I think there aren't enough weapons on the offense or on the defense. I think we have, probably the best cornerback in the league, but ultimately cornerbacks aren't going to win you championships. I am, again, old enough to remember Champ Bailey, who was one of the best cornerbacks to have played the game in the NFL. Champ Bailey left ultimately without a ring, because you're not an edge player, you're not a quarterback. You need players at the premium positions. So that's where the Broncos are at for me, kind of caught in purgatory a little bit at the moment.
Well, that's it. Whenever you said the best cornerback, you meant after Sauce Gardner, didn't you?
I was literally about to comment on that. I knew that was coming a mile away.
Yeah. So you couldn't give it a minute before you start talking about the Jets.
We're not. I'm not even going to try and bring up the Jets this time.
I think we should, personally.
We just did, right? Well, we're not going to.
Well, I said this before we started, and this might give you a wee bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, Neil. So, from Patrick Mahomes started playing college football or NFL, only one QB ever has had more completions and yards, touchdown passes in the same game as him, which is Zach Wilson. The other night.
No, so we're not going to get into the Zach Wilson hype, because I'll just be heartbroken again next week. So we'll not get into it just yet. Well, we'll give it a couple of games.
Colum, I've got a question for you, mate, okay, as a Broncos fan. We were speaking to Jason Bell last week, and we got his take on the Dolphins-Broncos game. As a fan, they came off a very close win this week. What was your thoughts about the loss last week?
It was surreal watching it. because the only time you'd ever seen 70 points was in Madden, right? To me, it felt a little bit like, and again, you lads might be too young for this, but I grew up with stories, right, about Dixie Dean, and Dixie Dean scoring 60 goals in a season for Everton, and that seeming absolutely the most ridiculous thing imaginable until Messi and Ronaldo arrived. And looking at the blank stares, Dixie Dean means nothing, but it was essentially, this was unreal until it happened. And it was similar with the Dolphins. It got to the point where I was kind of, with the fact they didn't kick the field goal, that essentially to me was, people called it, being kind. No, that was a total power play. That was like, I could have put the record on you if I wanted to, but I decided to spare you. Are you telling me that at every coach's meeting, he's not going to, look into his face? He's going to know that. That was complete alpha move by Mike McDaniel. And what was fascinating was the Dolphins executed everything brilliantly in that game. They really did. But there wasn't anything like completely new. I know the speed at which they operate is phenomenal, but it wasn't like they were running concepts that, the Broncos should have been completely unfamiliar with. It was just a really, really poor performance by the Broncos, and the Dolphins obviously took advantage of every single error, but it just, you eventually kind of became numb to it. It kind of just got ridiculous.
I have to say, even this week, your wee man, he is quite a small player in the NFL. Aitchen, from last week, he get 4 touchdowns against the Broncos, and he got 2 this week. He seems to be a real breakout player, or rookie anyway, come out of nowhere.
Yeah, there was a stat.
He got lucky last week because the guy who was playing had him on the bench, and he got 40 points in fantasy. So
there was a stat that came up that since week 3, Etienne has had 6 touchdowns, and Kyle Pitts has had 3 since he was been drafted.
Really?
Yes.
And 2 of those were against the Jets when we were in London.
2 of them were against the Jets while I was over in London watching the Jets against the Falcons. Yes, they were. But yeah, what do you think it is, Colin? Do you think it's coaching? Do you what players just not are going into a new system, haven't learned everything yet?
For the Broncos?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a number of different factors. It's firstly, it's a talent. The talent isn't there. Like, who beyond Pat Surtain, the cornerbacks just aren't good. Justin Simmons is a brilliant safety, but he has been injured, and Kareem Jackson is 5 years beyond his prime, lads. He had 1 good game against the Texans, which is going on almost 4 years ago now. He'll occasionally come up with a big hit. Very often those hits are late, but he gets caught in coverage all the time. The linebackers are willing, they'll try hard, but ultimately they don't have the speed that you really need to be an elite linebacker in the game. And where's the pass rush? We saw it last week a little bit against the Bears, but Randy Gregory has been a really poor signing. Frank Clark, there's a reason that he's no longer with the Chiefs, and the interior just hasn't got going. So, and I would say the same. I mean, when you look at the O-line, McGlinchey, it's enormous money for a guy who's decent in run blocking, but ultimately in pass blocking, he's not great. The O-line is a problem. The tight ends are non-existent. And so the Broncos, I think, lack real explosiveness and real speed. I don't think there is an enormous amount of speed on that Broncos roster on either side of the ball. So to me, Vance Joseph is an issue, absolutely. But people, I suppose, get too caught up with the first half of last season, where the Broncos defense played really well. But there were signs after the Bradley Chubb trade that the Broncos defense were getting tired, were declining. And I just don't think there's been an injection of talent on that side of the ball, or certainly not enough talent to keep up.
Yeah, it seems like they wasted a lot of money on the O-line, and the O-line just isn't gelling at the minute. Trying to protect Russell, and it's just not gelling at the minute.
They've now got their first win under the belt, though. So there might be a bit of confidence heading into week
But
5.
they played
It
the next
was
worst team in the
against
league at the
Chicago
minute.
So
So
not all get ahead of ourselves. It was against
I
the
know,
Chicago Bears, who people
look,
are.
Coming from a losing season myself, I know a dub's a dub. So, I mean, going into the week 5 against the Jets with a win under your belt, it's all good news.
when was the last time the Bears actually had a win? That's a long time ago, surely.
The Bears, they've lost 14 on the bounce, which is the worst dating back into last season. It's the longest losing streak in Bears history. And the Bears are one of the most storied franchises. Admittedly, a franchise that has really struggled to have a QB in their entire history. But the Bears have been around a lawfully long time. So that is telling just how bad they've been.
You don't know, but we'll move on to another. We'll not break your heart too much talking about your beloved Broncos, because I know what it's like being a Jets fan, having to talk about them. But Giants, I want to hear more about the Giants. What is happening with the Giants season?
I'm such a fan of that game too.
At the
I'm a
weekend,
Hawks fan.
they scored another
11
3
times.
Darren Waller not getting touches again. Basically, they can't play without Saquon Barkley, it seems.
Well, look, I mean, to me, there was an enormous mistake in giving Daniel Jones the contract. I mean, ultimately, this is what the franchise tag was made for. And I'm not a fan in particular of the franchise tag in the way that it allows teams to kind of hold on to a player, not to allow them to move. But ultimately, this is the exact situation it was created for, right? Dable comes in last year. Daniel Jones is really last chance saloon. He has an okay season, right? He's better than prior, but ultimately, my tagline is that's akin to being taller than Danny DeVito. And then you were waiting to see, like, there was all this hype again and it's amazing. Like, you see the way the NFL offseason plays out, and everyone talks themselves into stuff, right? And the Giants get some guys in and they've got some speed, and now they have a guy who can take the top off, and watch Danny Dimes go, and they're going to open up these holes in the O-line. He'll be able to run. Saquon will run. They'll have more passing options. No, they should have given him franchise tag if there was nobody else out there, fair enough, and then run it back for one more year and make your decision. Now, ultimately you're stuck with him for not just this year, but next year. And I think, again, to me, it's talent, lads. I just think that's one of the big issues. I don't think that the talent is there, and I think that teams have to sell tickets, and their team, the amount of coverage that NFL teams get, for the most part, they have to be somewhat positive. So everybody sells you on these, everybody is gifted, and everyone who comes in, like there are people coming off of the street into practice squads, and there will be, people out there that will try to tell you that, this is going to make the difference. And every so often you end up with somebody hitting in terms of an undrafted free agent, in terms of a Brock Purdy. But more often than not, it doesn't work. I don't think it's the coaching, because we saw there's some very, very talented coaches. But I think the Dave Gettleman years were not kind to the New York Giants, and the draft this year hasn't.
With that team at one point, it seemed David Gambler just seemed like he wanted to destroy that team at one stage, the way he was going.
Isn't it amazing that, like, multi-billion dollar league, billion dollar franchise, and if the Giants were to sell in the morning, what would the New York Giants, given the name, they'd sell it for $10 billion? And it's just run on, it feels sometimes like lads flipping a coin trying to make a decision.
Exactly. I said last year, I was like the Giants are doing well. Everybody was going on about how great the Giants were, how great they were doing. Brian Daboll's the next friggin' Bill Belichick or whatever great offensive coach there is. But I thought they were overrated, and I thought that without Saquon Barkley they were nothing. And it's sort of proven that now that they don't have him again, because they franchise tag him, didn't they? So they're now like so. And shows that they need him.
he ended up signing the 1-year deal as opposed to remaining on the franchise tag, which was interesting. I would say that, yeah, look, sometimes teams benefit from a schedule that falls their way. Things were new. I think there was a feel-good factor in New York last year, but I think that, in what's interesting to me is I think you can make an argument that the Vikings are a better team with a much worse record this year, whereas the Giants I don't think are as good a team. But what do you do if you're the Giants? I think you're hoping probably to get as high a draft pick as you can. You bring in a rookie and you sit him for maybe 6 games for Daniel Jones, and then ultimately you're hoping you move off Daniel Jones the year after. That's the only way out of it. Like, the league has become, if you look around the league, you either need to be really competitive, you need an elite QB, or you need a QB on a rookie deal that allows you to then put the pieces around them, and a gifted head coach. So look at the 49ers starters, like, they're absolutely incredible, but they wouldn't be able to afford them if Purdy wasn't on the rookie contract.
Yes, he's like Harry Potter. He's the Harry Potter of the NFL. He's the one that lives underneath the stairs on his wage in San Francisco. Because he's what, 900,000 a year he's on?
Oh, only the 900k. I'm sure he's struggling.
God, love that man. How does he live?
I would take 900k to be a QB for the 49ers, like if they're offering.
I want to jump in before Robert. Now, Robert's a Seahawks fan, so he's going to jump in and tell him how well the defense done and everything this week.
Yes.
I didn't get to watch too much football this weekend, so I thought I had stats for this game, because the overview on it wasn't particularly fantastic. A 24-3 win, pretty good. So I thought I'd have a look into it. Now, the Seahawks only had a game, or time of possession was 24 minutes for the entire game. They only made 13 first downs, and the grand total of 281 yards for the entire game, and still beat them 24-3. That's pretty fucking good, like.
And Rob, you wanted to mention the lovely defense, didn't you, mate?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think this week that was the breakout game for our rookie cornerback, Witherspoon. He got 2 sacks, interception. I think, if I remember right, 8 tackles. The team overall got 11 sacks. So, as you're saying, Colum, that O-line at the Giants is like a chocolate teapot. What are they doing? They literally can't protect their QB, and that's the number 1 rule in football. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed watching it. I'm not gonna lie, I watched it and then watched the highlights because I enjoyed it that much. So.
Yeah, you're right. 11 sacks allowed.
Oh, just the 11.
But like we're going for let's just go from like Daniel Jones, who got the contract and is now. We all didn't think Daniel Jones was all great to deserve that contract, to move on to Joe Burrow, who got on the contract and is now doing the exact same thing as Daniel Jones and not winning very many games either.
Yeah, just while we're on, just very briefly, because the Seahawks were able to bring in like Drew Lock, who only completed 2 of 6 passes. I mean, Drew Lock is amazing to me, because if you watch the reaction on social media when Drew Lock comes in, people lose their minds. I have never, ever, and I'm watching the game since 1989, seen a QB get the hype that Drew Lock does. For I've rarely seen a worse attitude as well. An absolutely entitled frat boy, a guy who got away with lying about the reason the Broncos had to play with no QBs. Remember that game where the Broncos had to play? That was because Drew Lock took off his mask, lied about it to the NFL. They put their trackers around the room to pretend that they were sitting in different areas. They were all sitting together. They weren't wearing masks. And then they lied to the league about it. The league actually had the cameras and had the videotapes. And that's why John Elway rang and the Broncos were saying, hey, the guys said they were masked and all this stuff. And the league like, no, we have the footage, guys. You're going to have to play. Drew Lock was the ringleader. He was QB1 of that team. Initially, the Broncos media tried to lie about it, cover it up, say no, they were wearing masks. The footage came out, and then the Broncos media tried to blame it all on Blake Bortles. So I guess I'm saying to fans of teams, there's an awful lot more than what goes on that you see. But for that reason, and I was a big Drew Lock fan coming out of college, but ultimately I saw it, and there's a reason Vic Fangio cannot abide Drew Lock. And that is ultimately it. He lied to his head coach, he lied to the team, and he ended up not playing, them playing a game without a QB. And that, to me, is the antithesis of who you just mentioned, Neil, Joe Burrow, who is a guy who is generally super professional, who's trying to play through an injury. But clearly this to me, again, we're talking about a guy who they've signed a contract, and again, I know they're the headline figure, ignore the headline figure, but ultimately they're going to pay the guy a guaranteed about 150 million, right? Which is enormous money. Yeah. And you're putting him out there. He can't move. He can't put power in the ball. We can all see it. It's crazy to me, but it tells you, I suppose, the window.
Maybe that's why he's trying to go out and do that, because he's just signed that contract.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if he hadn't signed that contract, do you not think he would go, no, I'm going to sit out for a couple of games? But because he signed that contract, he's like, no, I need to go out, or I've just signed this contract.
I think so, and I think what they put in there, and I think the fact that they were willing to make so many, like the Bengals were a team that was notoriously tight with money, right? They didn't spend on free agents, they didn't spend on training facilities. Joe Burrow comes in there and it changes everything. And I think the contract that he signed does put enormous pressure on him, and he feels it because he does take it personally. This isn't a guy who just comes in and is a 9-to-5, or that's not him. But I think he needs to be protected from himself, because he said that the window is open as long as he is in Cincinnati. Well, if they don't help him, then that will, like we saw it with Andrew Luck, sometimes QBs can go out there to their own detriment.
I don't know when you need to go, Colum, so you should give me a shout.
We're good until another 5 minutes or so, if that's okay, guys.
Yeah, no problem. No, we want to talk more about the Bengals and just what's happening, because surely they should be a Super Bowl winning, or not Super Bowl challenger with what they've got at the minute.
But this is if you know the story about I don't know, do you know that story about Tom Moore and the Colts, and when they go to watch, I think it was Gruden, and they go up to Indianapolis to watch the Colts, and they're in the lead up to the game, so the commentary team are there a few days earlier, and they notice that only Peyton Manning is taking the reps. And they asked Tom Moore, who was then the offensive coordinator, why is Peyton taking all the first team reps? And Tom Moore famously said, if 18 goes down, we're screwed, and we don't practice screwed. So ultimately, I mean, this is, I suppose, where it's an interesting debate. I think it will be, with the number of QBs who are getting injured now. I think there is probably a debate to be had around the league about having a competent backup who can come in and play well. But the Bengals didn't do that. They decided to spend the money elsewhere, so that if you lose Joe Burrow, I don't think he should be out there. So I think you're playing with a shadow of who he is, and then you're goosed. Now, there are very few teams who, and that's what makes the Eagles winning the Super Bowl the year Nick Foles came in all the more surreal. There are very few teams who, if you lost your starting QB, you would be okay to go on a real run. But it just shows, how thin the margins are. Like you saw it, say, last year with the Bills, right? Von Miller went down, and that was an enormous injury. Now, they seem to have really, prepped for that sort of thing happening this year, right? The front has been incredible without Vaughn, and I think you'll see them ease Vaughn back in over the coming weeks. I think they're going to use him for a playoff run, but ultimately when you lose a guy like that, it is enormously difficult, particularly at QB, because it is such a unique position. But for the Bengals, it's a nightmare, right? Because everything was geared towards a run this year. All the money is there. Like, they've now got to figure out a way to pay Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, they're not going to be able to keep them all there. So yeah, it's an abject nightmare. Like, it really is.
They had Joe Mixon and all trying out at this court QB for the last couple of weeks there too, because they literally had nobody to replace him.
I'd love to
If
see
he didn't
that.
play, there was nobody there. So it wasn't good. But we'll move on.
Very rushing shit plays if Mixon got the ball at QB.
Yeah. No, I think it would have been good. It would have been nice to see. It would have been fun to see.
All I'm saying is Derrick Henry threw a touchdown pass this weekend, so it's possible.
Derrick Henry, you love Derrick Henry. First person you recruit on your flipping fantasy every year.
Not true.
Sorry, Derrick
Not
Henry.
true.
He likes Christian McCaffrey.
Colum, I want to get your wee thoughts on the Lions before you go to do your own show.
Yes.
Are they the real deal? Dan Campbell, absolute legend, that guy. If I could have him as a coach, that would be so good. I just love everything he does. Are they the real deal? Are they potential contenders for the Super Bowl this year?
I think they're the real deal. I think it will be difficult when they get to the playoffs if they run into a full strength Eagles or 49ers team, but I do think that they will win their division, and I think Dan Campbell has completely altered the mindset of that franchise. I think they have, I think the complement, the coaching staff works really well. Again, that's not always something that we look at. Sean Payton comes in to the Broncos and he brings in Vance Joseph, and that made no sense, right? Hasn't really worked with Vance Joseph before. They don't complement each other. Dan Campbell and Brian Johnson really complement each other. They're in sync. They have similar philosophies of the game, different approaches. I mean, you see them interviewed. They're very different guys, but they complement each other quite well. I think that O-line is fantastic. I think the running game, I think the way in which they game plan really well. They look to find ways to attack your weaknesses for every opponent. And I think the defense, they have done a good job shoring it up. I know some Lions fans. Gary Murphy in DCU has been a Lions fan for 40 years. I used to refer to Detroit as the factory of sadness because that's the way it was. And now it's become the house of fun. They are brilliant to watch. They are the great entertainers of the league. And I don't like... Depends, I suppose, ultimately where they finish in the NFC. But I don't think anyone would fancy having to go into Detroit. But I would probably put them below the Niners and the Eagles in terms of, because both of those teams have absolute superstars and the experience. Yeah. But again, it's a long season. Guys, we're in week 4. There are so many twists and turns to go, but I think the Lions are for real.
Yeah, it's weird that just 1 year ago we were all laughing at Dan Campbell and if somebody friggin' gets knocked down, we're going to bite their knees. We're going to bite their knees off and all. And he was being laughed at for all these words, and now he's being idolized for all. Everybody wants to hear a new Dan Campbellism. if that's a word.
It works.
It does, because he's authentic. Again, I think sometimes we read so much into the press conferences, right? Sirianni had a really bad opening press conference with the Eagles, and Dan Campbell was people were laughing at it, and his Starbucks order, if you haven't heard his Starbucks order, it is absolutely insane. The amount of caffeine he takes on, but he is authentic with players, and he is, say, the antithesis of Josh McDaniels. Right, Josh McDaniels went to the podium the other day and he threw his young QB absolutely under the bus. right? And the guy's starting his first NFL game, and Josh McDaniel goes out after the game, and it hasn't put him in a good position, and he puts it all on the QB. You do not see Dan Campbell do that. Do you see him get annoyed with his players? Yes. But do you see him like throw them under the bus? He will. Like last year, he talked at times that Goff needed to get better, but he always put beside it, but I need to get better too. I need to put Jared in better situations. So players see him holding himself accountable, and that makes all the difference. I think guys, they want to be authentic. Like, sometimes take a step back and think about if you went into work tomorrow and your boss like absolutely threw you under the bus at a team meeting, would you have any respect for them? Would you want to continue to work for them?
No,
that's the way a lot of these players are, and that's where they're coming from. But yes, to end my segment on the show, it's been great to chat to you. The Lions are for real.
Yes, brilliant. Colum, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, sir. And for anybody that is watching right now, once we're over, just switch on over to the Irish NFL show and you'll see Colum talking some NFL on that show.
Cheers,
sir.
Thanks very
see you
much.
later.
Thanks for coming on, Colum. Bye.
There we go. Right. He's lovely, wee man. So
Very interesting. Once again, his knowledge is.
No, he has so much knowledge. Like you literally feel like you know nothing when you're talking to Colum about when we're
not
talking.
Not as bad as it was when Germ was on. Germ was exceptional, but we definitely know a good bit more than I do anyway.
We got this here from JAC. Should I trade Rashad White and Thielen for Sutton and Mostert?
Last week, yes.
Yeah,
I would do it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that helps.
So the only thing we didn't really get talking about is the Bills destroying Miami. So we can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean,
second week in a row that the Dolphins have been part of like the highest scoring game. So they're on the other end of it right enough now, but I mean,
just on the opposite sides.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to the QB quite a bit on it from what I've seen as well. So the QB, so Tua didn't get as much time to get the passes off. He was getting rushed a lot. He got sacked a couple of times. Don't know the exact number, but if you get to the QB, especially in a passing offense, what's happening, Dean? Thanks for coming to watch. Just popped
what's
up there.
What's happening, buddy?
If you get to the QB, don't give them the time to make or to obviously do that offense that they have.
4 sacks, Rob.
Sorry?
Sacked 4 times.
Sacked 4 times. That's still a lot in the NFL.
Oh, 100%.
So it is.
Not as many as 11, but yeah.
Now, the reason, Dean, the reason it was probably great that Colum was able to talk about all these games is because we were at a thing on Sunday and we didn't really get to see any games, and we had a lot of beers, and because Marc was organising the event and I was helping Marc organise the event, Rob was drinking, so he probably got to see everything, whatever he was doing.
I got to see quite a bit, to be fair.
So we'll just let you talk about it while we bring up stuff.
I'll do my best, mate. What would you like to bring up next?
I think we start with the Jags and Falcons game. No, we work up to that. We've got by that now.
So, Rob,
Jags and Falcons.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. What did you like about tell us what you loved most about the Toy Story?
Oh, I forgot about the Toy Story thing. As Marc said, okay, it's fantastic for getting younger people into it. You said yourself, Marc, it got your daughters a little bit interested in it. But myself personally, me and Marc had a watch of it for about 10 minutes. And
about 10 minutes.
It wasn't the best. It was, it was the ball got through, it got caught, and then you just it ended, and you were like, what's going on? Like, did someone get tackled? Has it messed up? And so on and so forth. But same as anything, it's never going to be perfect on its first time running. I
think my expectations of it were very high going into the game.
Yeah.
Mainly because I purely thought I was going to see a Toy Story character absolutely end someone. And they sort of just phased together as they
thought or hoped.
Well, both. But I just didn't get to see that. And as you say, Rob, it's the first time they've ever done something like that. So there was going to be a few hiccups.
Things can only get better.
Yeah, we also need to remember that it's not aimed towards adults; it's aimed towards children and getting them
Yes.
interested in the sport of football. So
But first ever game in Andy's room went well.
Yeah.
it was, and do you know what? The crowd was amazing.
Fantastic.
Was that because it was Woody and Buzz and all?
I think Slinky was a little bit biased.
Slinky is a down
with
marker.
those-
You didn't
those
see
down
any of this
markers.
thing, did you?
I didn't see nothing.
No, they had Slinky the dog as the down marker. So they did.
What
no,
about
I
that
was
halftime show?
good for time marker, aye.
It's Chain Crew, sorry, yeah. So,
Did you
what
see
are
the
saying?
halftime show?
I didn't see the halftime
With
show.
Duke Kaboom.
How did you see this?
Because I watched it, mate.
Where was I?
You were supervising.
Whilst drinking beer.
Anywho.
No, I literally, we finished training, went home, showered, gathered up all my shit, went to get numbnuts. He was watching Andy, so I went back to leave off shit that I didn't need and then get more shit that I forgot.
Excuse me.
Then we went and got numbnuts again, and then went to sort out the rookie night, which went very well, by the way, if anyone was ever wondering.
I did actually write
Yeah.
down a few stats about the game as well.
Mate.
What one?
Andy's
which I
room
thought-
stats.
Huh?
Andy's room stats.
Well, not so much Andy's room stats, more of the game stats.
Yeah, so let's just point out that the game that was in Andy's room was actually in London. So it was actually in the UK. So
And our guy Jason Bell was there commentating on
our
it.
guy Jason Bell was there commentating, our best mate, as well.
Shout out Jay Bell.
What up, Jay Bell? How you doing, sir? Yeah. So game in London went well. Jags home team, because they are the London team, so to speak. And yeah, they won.
Well, personally, I think Bijan Robinson won. Did you see
Yeah.
the stats on his game? He got near 50% of the whole total yards for the game.
That's because he's fucking awesome. I really wanted him in my fantasy team. And nobody else traded him. I could
Well, there's
offer.
only one person that
good.
can trade him for you, mate. So
Who is it?
the Bagwires. Matty Boyd has him.
Oh, he beat me yesterday.
He's not gonna let go.
Yeah. Here, I'm actually so pissed off at the result for fantasy this week. I'm 0-4 now, guys. I'm not happy about it. I was on the way to win, and the Cowboys got more points from defense than Patrick Mahomes did.
Well, I
Little bit
did
sour
offer you
about
a
it.
trade, Bob. Did I not
Huh?
offer you a trade for Patrick Mahomes? You could have got rid of Patrick Mahomes and you didn't.
I'm not getting rid of Patrick Mahomes for what you sent me.
Jared Goff? No, Daniel Jones.
And then you also wanted Derrick Henry for what? A shit running back at the
Aaron
Packers
Jones and Kareem Hunt?
some receiver. Yeah, I don't want them.
Rob,
Good.
I think you're gonna struggle to get any sympathy from us because it's actually the first week that we've all lost. So
Oh,
Yeah.
you lost
I
too?
lost. I lost well. I'm 3-1 now.
I'm 2-2. Rob, what are you?
No comment. I've already said it. I'm not saying
Oh,
it
that's
again.
right. Sorry, that's right. You've
0-4,
lost. Oh, you're
0-4. Only 3 teams currently 0-4.
There's 3 teams in our league going for. So what you're saying is, I'm not the worst.
Who's the other two?
No, I meant actually in like the NFL.
No, I'm wrong. I am the worst. I'm the only one that's 0-4.
I was just lumping you in
I
with the
go.
NFL teams,
I
so-
might get a good waiver fucking position this week.
No, you won't.
No, you're still number 1, mate.
I know, but because I didn't win this week and my waiver might go
No,
down.
you'll still be last.
No, it's you're number 1. You're always going to be the last on the waiver list.
What up, my Rob?
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna stop there.
I'm number 1. Right.
Somebody's dropped Dak as well in our league.
Who?
Dak.
Yeah, somebody dropped Dak for Justin Fields because some idiot got rid of Justin Fields.
Surely Dak's better than Justin Fields though. At this point, I know he's not a running QB like, but
I might
He's
actually
throwing a
pick
lot
up
of
Dak.
shade my way, mate. Like, see, you know what? I can't wait. See, next year when we're doing the podcast and I have a nice new Funko Pop Iron Man behind me, I'm gonna be so smug.
Do you honestly think you're going to beat me now, mate?
100%, mate. You're on the downfall now.
Oh, you think so?
100%.
You know, all my
Losing
players
this
are
week's game.
back. Like, wait there, I just pick up that curse cat.
do you know what? I might pick him up just to second you. You prick.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
that confident, mate, that you're losing this week. That if I'm wrong, I'll shave my head.
Why?
Fair enough.
You'll shave your head? You should grow your hair.
Who are you playing this week? Mac Attack?
I haven't even looked at it.
Hey, Curtis. Right.
Well,
let's do. Who am I playing? Let's do.
You're playing Mac Attack, but he does have Tua playing against the Giants, so Tua might get a good few points. Like,
right, games. Let's do.
You want to talk Jets though? We haven't actually talked Jets yet.
Not even a little bit, mate. No.
Jets
I'm talking
just
Jets.
got beat by the Chiefs.
Have you seen the scandals though?
What's the scandal?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, people calling saying the NFL is scripted because Pat Mahomes took the knee at 23-20, and that they think they're just doing it so that the Chiefs win.
Right,
So
because
of Taylor Swift, so that they retain all of her millions of viewers. They want to see Taylor Swift's boyfriend succeed and all that shit.
I mean, let's be honest, that's a load of shit because before Taylor Swift, they still got two Super Bowls. So, yes, there was a few, holding call that should have been given.
Yeah, but they're letting them win now. It seems you don't see the holding on Johnson. He was held.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
How much was he held there? Like,
mate, that was shocking.
100%, completely.
It was unreal.
And then the holding call in the last 4 minutes, how late he threw the flag.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot leading towards a wee bit of a script in that game.
Sauce Gardner's even came out and says, maybe if I was a Swiftie, they wouldn't have fucking threw that flag.
Yeah.
He says they didn't throw the ball anywhere near me the whole game, and then they do, and then they call that there. It's like, maybe if I was a Swiftie, they would let me away with that. But yeah, and Zach Wilson had his best game ever. Actually, I think it was like 23 points he got and everything in fantasy.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah,
not like anyone actually has him in his team because he's a bit.
You gonna pick him up, Rob?
No. I got Mahomes and Russell Wilson. I'm good.
Okay. Right. Predictions, gentlemen. Because I want to go and watch Equalizer.
Excuse me?
Glad you said that.
What
Commanders against... What?
Time's Equalizer on it?
It's on
Equalizer
pretty much
3,
after
mate.
this.
Stuff there. I was going to try and hold you back.
Commanders against the Bears. Mark, who we got?
Going for the Commanders.
Commanders.
I am
You want to pick
also
the Bears, Mark, are you? Oh, not Mark. Me.
I think you've actually took the league this week, mate, too. Which is
Me?
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, at least I'm winning something.
We'll add up more. Curtis has also asked, could he see your jersey?
He's looking at it. Fuck off.
Says he's looking at it. Not much I can do. He says it's very snug, so he doesn't want to stand up. We had this discussion before he came on.
How Slim can keep his mouth shut for once. It'll be great. Anyway, go ahead.
Next one. Bills against the Jaguars.
Bills,
baby.
See, now I would actually maybe even try to go Jags, but I can't because I have to play sensible now because I'm actually not in the lead. So I'm going Bills. Patriots against the Saints.
That one is a harder
Saints.
one.
I'll let you argue over it.
You just popping out a name, are you? Because I'm trying to.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Pats.
Of course, yeah. I have no idea what that was meant to mean.
I am going to go Saints because I think Derek Carr's back.
Won't make a difference.
Yeah, I think so.
Not at all.
See, if you're wrong, you gotta shave your head.
Colts against Titans.
Titans.
I'm going to go Colts.
Getting a lot of comments this week. You just send it to all the friends, did you? It's easy on that.
What up, Easy? Yeah, I'm going to go Colts because I think Anthony Richardson's back too. So I think that'll be good for them. Steelers against the Ravens.
Ravens.
Yeah.
Same time there, Rob.
And I am
This
also going
shit
to
isn't
go.
scripted. Not like the
What?
NFL.
Yeah, I am actually going to go Ravens too because I believe the Steelers offensive coordinator is absolute dung. I also near sure that Kenny Pickett is out with a bruised bone. I think I read that today.
The
Is Deshaun Watson injured now as well? Or am I making that up?
He said Steelers, so they're definitely losing. Lions against the Panthers. Deshaun Watson. I think there was something about that.
Lions.
Yeah, I have to go Lions myself, guys. Sorry, this is going to be a very boring one where we just all go the same, is it?
Be an easy bet to put on then. You're going to be raging when it comes up. And you don't put it on yourself.
Falcons against the Texans.
Texans.
Falcons. And it hurts me to say it.
Is it because of that bloody noise?
Just the fucking screech.
I'm going to Texans. I'm going to go Texans. I'm going to go with Rob.
Texans have been good the last couple of weeks, so yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. With the Falcons, you have Robinson. So that's really only what you've got at the minute. Like,
That's a whole lot of Robinson.
You know, you've got Kyle Pitts, but sure. He's such a great tight end.
Sure.
He might get a touchdown.
He's had 3 touchdowns in his 3 years in the NFL.
What a year. It's solid. It's 100%.
Almost as many quarterbacks as the Jets had this season. Nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm throwing digs at the Jets. I love them.
I know. Dolphins against the Giants.
Dolphins.
Do it.
Go on, do it.
Dolphins.
Go on. Be controversial.
No, I can't. No, I really wanted to there. Like, I was so close to picking the Giants, but I just can't because I'm not.
The next one's a bit interesting. Cardinals with the Bengals. That's an interesting one.
Bengals. No, I am definitely 100% going to go that the Bengals are going to win this. They cannot lose any more games. They're too good to lose any more games.
All right. I'm going to go Bengals too. That's fine.
Did they win it? Did they play this week? Did they?
Bengals? Yeah.
Yeah, they got beat.
Who were they playing?
Titans. Why not?
Titans.
It's the Cardinals.
Yeah, they got beat 27-3 by the Titans.
See?
So who got a touchdown pass?
I'll go opposite this time. I'll go Cardinals.
Ooh.
Cardinals?
You know what? Which goes against what I've written down as well. I've got written down Bengals. I'm gonna go Cardinals.
You even have a Bengals jersey.
Against
I can't fucking find it.
Rams against the Eagles.
Oh, 100% Rams.
Ooh. Now you've said it. We have to take your first answer.
Jason Kelsey going against his own
It
team.
is 100% the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles too. This is very boring. This one, guys. I think it's because we're all in competition.
Think of the viewers.
Next one's interesting.
Is it though?
Broncos against the Jets.
Broncos.
Mike Kerr.
You two are going Jets then, yeah?
I'm going Jets, mate, 100%.
Let's go Jets.
Let's go Jets, boy! Vikings against the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
It pains me because I love the Vikings as well. Chiefs.
Well, boys.
Sorry, the Swifties. Going with Swifties.
This is where it gets controversial. I'm going to go Vikings. I don't think Vikings are a bad team at all.
They're not. Not at all.
They're not.
The Chiefs have been below par, and I think they've only just won their games. I don't think they're bar obviously the Bears game, but I think that's Vikings could just sneak it.
Is Kirk Cousins not on to have the highest passing season of all time, passing yards of all time?
This week did put a dent in it though. He got less than half his average for the season.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Another one that might be controversial. We might get a wee split here is 49ers against the Cowboys.
I'm gonna have to go Niners.
Niners.
Paula McFadden says hi.
Hi, Mom.
See, now I know who that is.
Did that give it away by the second name, or what was it?
The McFadden definitely give it away. Like, he's going to Jets as well. Easy kills a Jets fan. I am recruiting him as much as I can.
Easy.
So 49ers.
Easy. Make your own decisions. Don't let Neil choose for you. He regrets it. He regrets choosing the Jets himself. So
No, I don't. I don't think there's anybody else I'd rather. Because I did actually go, I'm going to leave the Jets and try and pick another team, and I couldn't find a team that I liked as much.
you wanted to go to the Chargers because you love the kit so much.
I love Herbert, and I love the jerseys.
Yeah.
Like, if I wasn't going to be a Jets fan, I'd probably be a Chargers fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's definitely multiple teams that you love. I mean, because you've been interested in the sport a lot longer than I have, but I would say there's about 4 teams that I would follow.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You see, you like the Bengals now, but the Bengals were shit when they had Andy Dalton and all before Joe Burrow and shit. They weren't anything to go, oh god, the Bengals, look at them. They were like the same way Rob supports Seahawks. They won a Super Bowl when he started liking football.
Well, none of the
I've been over this with you so many times. That's not the case.
He's a glory hunter.
Do you know what I mean?
Liverpool fans, mate.
Mark, at least you friggin' picked the team based on just friendship.
Excuse you. He was a
yeah.
Ravens fan until he started talking to you, and I told him name one player from the Ravens.
And I
There it
did.
is. It still plays. Don't know.
Well, yeah.
Lamar Jackson, OBJ.
He knows probably
Perfect.
now, but yeah. Anyway, one last game.
There's John Taggart. He's tired.
John Taggart should be in Spain.
Yeah, Taggart, get to Spain. Right, so 49ers against the Cowboys. Who'd we all go for there?
49ers.
Niners.
Oh, I see. No. No, I'm going Cowboys. Cowboys usually beat the 49ers during regular season and then get beat by them in the playoffs.
But they don't always have McCaffrey though. My man's a baller. 14 games in a row. He scored a touchdown now. 14 games in a row.
Your eyes? What's wrong with your eyes? What happened? You
I'm
tired
just-
yet?
I'm just knackered. I can't wait.
Ron, are you working this man to the freaking bone? This boy is tired. Look at the wrinkles on underneath his eyes. Holy crap.
Bit unnecessary, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to Cowboys, by the way.
I would hurt.
Raiders against the Packers.
Raiders.
Wow. That was very...
Yeah, I
very
didn't expect
quick.
that from you.
Yeah.
I'm going Packers.
I'm also going Packers.
Boom. That's 1 point for me this week. Thanks, guys.
No, Raiders is shite. Josh McDaniels shite. Fucking Jimmy G is out still with concussion, I'm near sure. And like Colum just says, your man, Josh McDaniel, threw him under the bus, the new guy.
The new guy.
So yeah. Anything else you'd like to talk about before we call it a night, guys?
No, I am all good, mate.
Yeah.
Nope.
Sure you want to ask a question, Mark, out of the blue? No?
You went full Danny DeVito with that.
Okay. Be honest, Rob.
Not Danny
Yeah.
DeVito.
What size is that top
It's a extra medium.
of it?
Extra
Right.
medium.
Yes.
Yes, well, here, guys, thank you very much for joining us. This was the Irish NFL show episode where we had Colum Cronin on for his show. If you just want, go and watch him again. Or you could watch us again. That would be cool. You watch him on the Irish NFL show on YouTube. They should be live. But yes, we'll see you next week where we'll have probably somebody else on. We'll let you know who it is. And we should have
We're gonna
some
tune in
big
next
news.
week though to find out.
We could have some big news coming this week as well, so stay tuned. Goodbye,
Goodbye, guys.
Dean. Bye, Dean.
Bye,
See you,
friend.
Barbara. Bye, guys.
Dean, John, Easy, and Auntie Paula. Ooh, I was close.
Paula McFudgeon. You were about to say that, weren't you?
I know I just said Paula, but yeah, anyway. Bye.